Hi guys, Alex Taylor down at Lytham Golf Academy, and today I'm testing the new Cobra King F8 one length irons. So any of you guys that don't know about the one length idea and the concept, the idea is that all your irons are the same length and lie angle as 7-iron. Theory is, I think, incredibly sound, and I actually played the F7 forged irons last year, one length, and found them incredibly consistent. Love the gapping from iron to iron. Maybe the thing I only struggled with a little bit was just keeping the ball position the same. I still felt I needed to move my ball position around. But I've got 7-iron, 5-iron, 9-iron, and also the new one length hybrid. So I'm going to hit 5 shots with each. Have a look at the gapping and see, is the gapping still there in the more modern club? Because this is now kind of second generation for Cobra on the one length. Are the gaps still good iron to iron? Give you guys a little bit of feedback on looks and feel. Maybe help sway you to at least try one length irons, even if I'm not necessarily going to convince you to put them straight in the bag. So 7-iron for me looks great. For me, slightly thinner top line than last year's F7, so I quite like that. I think it might appeal to a slightly better player. But like I said, let's go 7-iron, 5 shots, and look at some distances as we go through the clubs. So it still feels lovely and quick off the club face. Got my usual little shape there. And certainly getting out there for 7-iron. That was just a little bit clean, if anything. So it'll be interesting to see if that distance-wise gets out there. Not bad. Didn't really lose much there for one that I didn't quite get. That felt really solid. Again, just turning over a touch. Not quite as much as the first couple. Generally the yardages are looking nice and consistent with 7-iron and pretty long. And again, good strike, just turning over. Again, really pleased with that. And the loft on this 7-iron is 29.5 degrees, so it's strong. It's not as strong as some of the stuff out there. But for me, there's looking like some good yardages from a relatively strong 7-iron. But let's go one final one. Felt a little bit heavy. It's going to turn over a little bit more. Yes, that's not a great swing, the last one, more so the contact. But let's now switch over from 7-iron. And let's just drop down to 9-iron. So for me here, I'm just using the kit that we've got here at Lytham Golf Academy. So it's really easy for me. I can just pop the same shaft into the different heads. The lie angles are all the same. Obviously just the head weights change a little bit more than normal. But we've got 9-iron at 39 degrees. So it's quite a big loft gap from 29.5. You know, generally speaking with traditional irons, you'd be probably looking at a 4-degree gap. So at 9.5, that's a little bit bigger. So again, it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure it's been tested a lot, but do we gap in properly on yardage? So even though I've been playing one length irons for over a year, still feels a little bit different to be picking up a 9-iron that's the same length as my 7-iron. But again, let's hit 5 more shots, see how this goes. So definitely seems to hit it very, very high. Okay, reasonable start. And I'll be honest, I've only hit the 7 iron in warm up here, so I've got no idea with the 5 and the 9. But yeah, 9 iron really looks like it hits it high. Be interesting to look when we get the numbers on GC2 just to see if there is much of a difference in the height between 7 and 9 iron. Yeah, definitely big high shots. Distance wise, don't look bad at the moment. 150. Okay, couple more. Again, looking fairly consistent. Not sure, personally, just not sure about that height of shot with 9 iron. Last one though. Definitely a bit higher than I would normally hit 9. And distances in there, not too bad. So let's just quickly have a look at the numbers between the two clubs there. So we've got, with 7 iron, an average carry of 172. With 9 iron, an average carry of 147. So it's probably just slightly bigger than I would be looking for, but probably about what you'd expect from a 9.5 degree gap. Right then, so let's switch over to 5 iron. And again, let's switch over with the head. So definitely as you switch into the 5, it's noticeable kind of how kind of big, chunky it looks from the back. Hollow head, you know, should make it incredibly forgiving. Might need to be with the way I'm swinging. And again, like I said with the 9 iron, 9 iron still feels different being long, 5 iron still feels different being short. But again, it's a little bit chunkier on top than 7 iron. But 5 shots, let's see how 5 iron performs. Oof, that really goes like a bullet. Let's see if it stacks up yardage wise. That's long for a 5 iron. Distance, not shaft, obviously. So, that first one was a real bullet. And that is incredibly easy to hit. Incredibly easy to hit. That is a long, long way for a 5 iron though. For me personally. Okay, so let's go again. Just left that one a little bit out to the right. Just not turning back over. I mean, it is 22.5 degrees, the 5 iron, so it's strong. It's not ridiculously strong. Let's hit another couple. Oh, that is just super, super impressive. And let's go one last one with the 5 iron, and then let's have a quick look at those numbers. Oh, a bit thin. A little bit off the bottom, so definitely expecting some drop off with that. Not hugely though. Okay, so let's quickly look at the numbers and see how the 5 iron, 7 iron, 9 iron stack up before we go on to the hybrid, because I think that's a very interesting club for me. Okay, so the one thing I didn't look at before was just the 9 iron height. 39 yard peak height, so it's a little bit high, but we said we had distance at 172, 147, so really we'd be looking for round about that 192. Now the thin one I hit actually was around about the right distance, but other than that, kind of comfortably over 200 yards. So definitely for me, not sure at the moment that with the F8 one length, the gaps between the irons is quite accurate enough. Right, and obviously the last one we're going to go for is the hybrid. Now this is 22 degrees, so the 5, and this calls itself a 4 hybrid, but the 5 iron was 22.5. So again, for me there's a discrepancy there. I would argue though that maybe the guys who really struggle with that, as a fitter I wouldn't be too bothered what it says the number of the club should be. It'll be about how far the ball goes. So I mean, in theory, with this being 22, this should be very similar carry to the 5 iron. This feels incredibly short. Again, it's not, it's still 7 iron length. And it's a much higher, I would say maybe higher spinning shot. It'll be interesting to look at the numbers, but carry distance wise I thought that was pretty decent. Very high, very soft flight, and again good length. So whereas for me that the 5 iron just seems it goes like a bullet, this 4 hybrid is a much higher, softer flighted shot. That one's a little bit low off the face. Again, not destructive, we'd still take that. And still pretty good. Shows how forgiving the hybrids are with them being hollow. But last couple with the 1 length hybrid. Massively high. Very soft. Again, over 200 yards, just under for carry. And one final one. Oh, I've left that out to the right. So accuracy is poor on that, but that is down to me. That was very wide. Okay, so let's look at the numbers, because for me the lofts on the 5 and the 4 hybrid, the 5 iron and the 4 hybrid, sorry, are very similar, but I thought the flights were very different. So let's look at the numbers, look at the distances, and kind of talk through why we think they are what they are. So we can see swing speed was actually down slightly with the hybrid. Ball speed was almost identical though. Now, the interesting thing for me was the 5 iron was pretty low spinning at 3,600, whereas the hybrid, as it looked with the ball flight, was a much higher spinning shot. Remarkably, it was actually not a million miles off on height wise, even though it did look a little bit higher. But certainly that lower spin with the 5 iron, getting the ball out there, further on carry, and then much further on the roll. Right then guys, so the Cobra King F8, 1 length. So again, I still like the concept of the 1 length, the idea, I mean, particularly maybe for you guys who are still a little bit newer to golf and find the challenge of the clubs changing ½ inch in length per club. My only little thing is I do think possibly for this year, the lofts being like they are, the gaps are just a little bigger than I would like to see. And certainly for me, that 5 iron just went, poof, was just unbelievably strong. Now, I suspect quite a few of the guys that are into the 1 length might end up going kind of 6 iron down. And now there's the 1 length hybrid. I think that offers a great option for that kind of higher, softer landing shot, particularly when you're hitting the ball into the green. So 2nd generation 1 lengths from Cobra, what do I think? I think they're still very sound in concept. Like I said, I've got a slight concern with the distances. Not enough of a concern that if you're interested in 1 length, you should get along and try it. I think the concept's great, and I think when you hit them, and the fact that you be able to hit 5, 7 and 9 and hopefully hit a hybrid when you're down for a fitting will really make a big difference for you. But as ever, you need to get along, get fitted properly, hit the product so it's correct for you to see how it performs. So guys, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, like and share it, comment below and I'll get back to as many of you as I can. Subscribe to my channel if you don't already. Follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here in the future. Stay in contact.